So I've known Javier for many, many years, and Javier, will find out a little bit later on, heads up Teen Challenge, which is an amazing organisation that makes a difference in so many people's lives. But there came a time in Javier's life where, up until that point, he believed God was dead. But then suddenly he understood that Jesus was alive, God was alive, and it made a difference in his life. And Javier, I'm going to ask you to tell that story, but sort of start perhaps at the beginning. Just tell us a little bit about your childhood and how you grew up, because I believe it was sort of Essex and Spain. You were sort of like between the two. So tell us a little bit about that, Javier.
Yeah, so I was brought up in Chelmsford. My parents were from Spain. They came in 61. And I was a surprised child because I had already 2 sisters and a brother, and there was an age gap of between 10 years between me and my brother. So I was a surprise. I was actually born on Resurrection Sunday.
Wow.
So, but I was a surprise. I wasn't a planned child. My mum and dad came from a really poor background, so they came over here and took the opportunity that was offered to them to work, and they worked whatever they could do, they did. And so when I was growing up, they were basically at work most of the time. So I would come back from school and there'd be no one there, and I'd have the key at the bottom under the mat or somewhere and go in, have something to eat, and then go out to play. And that's really, I started mixing around with all the friends from school out on the streets. And that's how I sort of had my childhood up until the time of 14. 14, I got involved in drugs, started taking drugs, Harold Hill actually, and got involved in drugs and was pretty wild. In fact, I was very feral.
Right.
And I had no restraint upon me and really no direction at all. And my life was really quite chaotic.
Javier, what were you, in sort of connecting with those gangs, what were you looking for? What was it you were looking for from those gangs or from those drugs at that time in your life?
I think I was just looking for the excitement and looking for the meaning in life.
Okay.
Just experiencing what most suburbs, kids in most suburbs do. They just want to feel part of belonging, want to feel to have a purpose, have an identity, feel that they're going somewhere, that they're of value. Just, I think everyone sort of goes through those experiences in themselves. And, I found a lot of that with my friends.
Okay, yeah. And tell us a little bit about, because you talked a little bit about your father and your relationship with your father through those years.
Yeah, I never, although he was there, he wasn't there. So he was quite, I would say he was an absent father. And the only really time he'd speak to me was really when he would tell me off. That's the only time, really. Okay. Apart from that, there was no time for me. We would never sit down. I never heard him say, I love you. He never took me anywhere. I mean, actually saying that's not true. He came to see me play football twice.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so, out of that. But there was no real relationship. So I looked for father figures on the streets. But my brother was a big father figure to me. Although he was now living in London, he was someone I looked up to.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because we, when I was in the police, we did some work on sort of like different gangs in the East End of London. And they were saying then that most people join gangs because they want acceptance, they want significance, they want a purpose. And it's those gangs that give them that sense of purpose and identity.
That's true.
Tell us a little bit. So at 17, you left the UK and went to Spain. Tell us a little bit about what happened there.
Things were getting really bad. I had a job. I was doing welding at a YTS at the time. Friday nights, Saturday nights were drinking nights. Yeah. Spend all your money, go down. There was a group of us who'd go down to Chelmsford. We'd get involved in lots of fights. And it was getting serious. Then we were getting involved with other guys from other areas, and then the police started getting involved. Yeah. Guys went to prison, and there were some other things I was involved in that I needed to get away from Chelmsford. And my sister lived in Spain, in the Canary Islands.
Yes.
And she said, look, my family said, why don't you just get out of the country? Mm. So I sort of scarpered out of the country, went to the Canary Islands. I enlisted in the Spanish military because my family is Spanish. Yeah. And I enlisted there, and lo and behold, there was more drugs there than there was out on the streets. So,
wow. Okay.
And shocked me even more.
Yeah. But I hear from that story that actually your family, were trying to help you, were trying to support you.
Yeah, they tried to get me out of the situation I was in. They gave me an escape.
Yeah.
And a lot of the other guys never had that.
And up until that point, Javier, had you any sort of like Christian upbringing or Christian input? What?
Yeah, so being Catholic, we were obviously Spanish.
Yeah.
We had a lot of pictures around the house. My mum made me go to church until I was about 5. I hated church. I thought it was absolutely boring. I couldn't hear what the guy dressed in a dress was talking about.
Yeah.
He was mumbling, and there were people, you couldn't even look behind you, and it was just, but I just didn't want to go. It was awful. So I said to my mum, I don't want to go. So by, I think 6 or 7, she just let me go. I was just playing out on the streets. That was it.
Okay.
She was too busy.
Yeah.
She just wanted me to go, but it's too busy. And I would pray every so often when I was in trouble. Actually, that was a lot of times. So that was it. It was just a prayer. Please help me.
Yeah. So your the input through church, through faith at that point just didn't really have any influence on your life, or it just didn't mean anything to you.
I had an awareness that there was a God. I thought there was a God. What's he got to do with someone like me?
Sure.
He didn't understand me, how I feel, what I want, the feelings I had, the emotions that I was experiencing, and desires. He's too busy for me.
And I guess that's how many people feel. You know, that God is just distant. Just if there is anything out there, why would he be interested in me?
Yeah, exactly.
So you were in the army in Spain, and you said that there was more sort of drugs and stuff going on there. And then eventually you came back to the UK. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I came out of, and because I had a Spanish passport, I went, not initially come back to England, I actually went to the south of the island because I was in Las Palmas at the time. Yeah. In the headquarters there. And I went to the south of the island, teamed up with a guy from Madrid. He was a drug dealer. We lived together and we sold drugs to the holiday makers. Yeah. My brother, we had a family reunion in the north of Spain, is where I come from. That's why I'm ginger, because people from the north of Spain are all redheads, a lot of them.
Right, okay.
South of Spain is most where the Moroccan,
Yes,
from the dark. So, so we went to the north of Spain. My brother saw me and he said he knew I was in trouble. Yeah. And he said, why don't you come back and live with me and work with me in the gym in Stratford, Maryland Point. Yeah. And so I came back to London in about 1980. I can't remember now, it's a long time ago. About the 80s.
About the 80s, yeah. Just about the same time I was starting as a police officer in Stratford, so around that area,
Maryland Point.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Do you know Maryland Point?
No, yeah. Yeah, so you came back to Stratford, and you was obviously like again, your brother is trying to help you out, and
my brother's helped me out. My brother was a he was a very successful bodybuilder.
Right, okay.
Amateur, he won the British title. I think it's 3 times, European Championships. He had second Mr. Universe, second World, and so he had a gym. It used to be called Talbot's Gym, and the people that came up there were EastEnders. We had Ian from Tough Talk.
Yes,
I knew Ian before. Before I was a Christian, so he used to train up there. We had all the East London Herberts, all the doormen with noses to the side.
Yes, yeah.
And anyone who was anyone would be training up that gym.
Well, yeah, fantastic. Excellent. So quite a few people probably there just sort of influence you. Now, so tell us, there was then. You saw there were some posters, weren't there? Some leaflets that talked about life. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my brother helped me get off the drugs, and I was starting to train. I was into training, but I was starting to feel really empty inside. Yeah. And I had a girlfriend in North London at the time, and I went to stay with her for the weekend. And then I just went into her house. She lived in Enfield, and a few doors down there was a poster, and it just caught my attention, and it was a black poster, and it had life.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't know, I was just attracted to it. Anyway, a few days later, I come back, and there was an old boy in there, and I said, excuse me, mate, what's all that about? And he said, it's about a guy who's going to come and talk about life, a guy called Billy Graham. Never heard of him, don't know who he was. I said, all right, mate, cheers. And that was it.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I was seeing these posters everywhere. I lived in Walthamstow at the time, moved out, had a flat in Walthamstow, Wood Street. And I was seeing these posters everywhere. And inside, I was feeling extremely empty. There was this vacuum that started to increase within me. I don't know. I believe it was God. Now I know it was God because that vacuum was getting larger and larger. And I kept seeing these posters everywhere I was driving. And I thought, I'm going to go along. So I went along to Upton Park, 1989, on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
It's the 14th, I think it was. And I smoked a joint before I went in there because I thought, got to have a joint. And so I went in and I was really paranoid because there's all these people and they looked weird. They had these flags, they were smiling, they were clapping, and suddenly fear started.
Yes, yeah.
And I wanted to get out of there.
Yeah.
I was absolutely almost psychosis.
Yes, yeah.
But I just felt I had to stay, and I stayed, and then I heard the gospel.
Wow.
And Billy Graham came out and he spoke about Jesus. Well, I thought Jesus was dead.
Yeah.
I honestly, I thought, what do you mean he's alive? I thought, he's alive? He said that Jesus was alive, and that if you wanted him, he was willing to come into your life and to walk with you. And I thought, this is what I need.
Yeah.
This is what I'm searching for. And I thought, yes, I want him. I want him. I know that he's good.
Yeah.
I know whatever I knew about Jesus, I knew he was good. Yeah. So I knew he was a bad man, but I wanted it. And I thought, yes, I want this. This is what I'm searching for. And at that moment in time, something entered into me.
Wow. Okay.
And it was hope.
Yes. Yeah.
Suddenly I had hope that actually there was a way out, because inside of myself, although I was involved in all that, I was desperate to find true contentment and true happiness. I wasn't finding it anywhere. And I thought, yes. And so inside, hope entered into me. And then he made an appeal for Peter to stand up.
Yeah.
I'd already done it in myself.
Yes.
Sitting down. I knew I wanted it.
Yeah.
And so I stood up, and then he said, you've got to come down to the front. If you accept me before man on earth, I accept you before my Father in heaven. I thought, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll do that. I'll stand up for Jesus, because that's what I want. If that's part of it. I went down there. We all said this prayer down there, and there was, as we were turning around, this little guy said, excuse me, mate, I want to take your details so you can, keep you for us. I said, I don't want to join your club.
No.
Because I was very suspicious. Because the people,
Sure.
I said, I don't want to join your club. I said, don't. He said, he was really nice. He said, no, we won't come round. I said, don't come round my house, because I've got a couple of rock climbers. Right? I don't want you to come round. And he said, no, we'll just send you some information.
Yeah.
And true to his word, they sent me a book of Luke.
Yep.
Never came round.
No.
And they gave me information of a local church out in Seven Kings, which is a Church of England. Yeah. Said that this person is a contact with great contact. It was a great follow-up.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I actually read the book of Luke, and I went along, and I started going along to the church, and they were nice, but I was 20.
Right.
And they were like 40. They were like us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were nice.
Nice, but
they couldn't relate to me. I joined one thing, and I was involved in the sort of thing. But something had happened to me.
Yeah. So in Annie's story, she talked about, our lives matter. And, that if there is a God that created us, then actually there is a God that one day we will see face to face, that our lives matter. They mean something. There's hope, is basically what Annie was saying. And that's similar for you, Javier. At that moment, you realised there was hope.
Yeah. Up until that point, I didn't know what the meaning of life was about.
Right.
I thought it was about making money, being successful, getting what you want, and being a person of influence.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, because those things do not satisfy the soul of a person. Yeah. Those are pursuits that we engage upon on this earth to better our lives, but it's not the end game.
No.
It's not the main game. It's not the actual what we're here for. And up until that point, I thought it was. I was actually blinded.
Yeah, sure.
And because I wasn't making it work, and I was involved in trying to make a lot of deals happen, I was still never satisfied. And, it was the answer. I found Jesus, and I thought, I've got hope. And then there was a number of things that started to happen spiritually, supernaturally, which really confirmed that I was on the right path.
You talked about, in your story, that on that, the Billy Graham event, your life didn't, although you had hope, your life didn't change until a couple of people came into the gym
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So it was a spit and sawdust gym, and it was in Maryland Point. We used to have the CID actually sit down outside and watch the gym. The people used to come in. They made films of people that used to at the gym.
Yeah.
They're well known.
Yeah, yeah.
I can tell you.
No.
Some of them might be.
Yeah. You never know. That's right.
But when this young couple, now I'd never met young Christians before.
No. Okay.
Right? Everyone I was with, they were like us.
Yep.
You know, 20. So anyway, cut a long story short, this young couple come up. They were models from New Zealand.
Right. Cool.
Right? I had a God bless you badge.
Yeah.
Because I found it and I thought, it's nice.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Some spiritual back.
Yeah.
You know, I weren't going to church.
No, but I've got my God bless you badge. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
In and out. So I was in and out of church. I was like in and out. I wasn't discipled. And they come in, the guy said, oh, we're looking for a gym. And, oh, you're a Christian? I said, yeah, I'm a Christian. I've never been asked.
No, that's right.
And they said, we're too. We also are Christians. And they joined the gym. We became training partners. And I noticed there was a big difference about them.
Yeah.
They had this joy. They had this hope. They had this just the positivity about them.
Yeah.
This real great energy. They just wanted to be around them. I thought, these are, I want to be like you.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what is it that you're doing? Well, they were together. They weren't married, and they weren't sleeping together. I thought they were mad. Honestly, I did.
Yeah.
Right? When we together and we'd eat and go and have something to eat, they would pray before they ate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? They go to church twice on a Sunday.
Wow.
I thought, it's a bit mad. You're a bit too over the top.
Yeah.
And I thought, but you have something.
Yeah.
And if this is what it takes to have what you want, that's the next level. I've got to go for it.
Wow.
So I started putting the stuff away, stopped doing the stuff I was doing, because I was still sort of, although I had this experience, I was so much involved in it.
Sure.
I was being drawn out of it. That's how I can see it.
Yes, yeah.
And so I was letting go. And as I started to let go, this joy came into me, and this real experience started to happen to me, that I started to feel what I saw in them.
Wow.
This experience of joy and strength and energy and hope and faith.
Yeah.
All those things started to manifest in me.
So that's amazing. So again, similar to what Annie was saying in that media, is that once you started the journey, that's when faith grew. That's when hope grew. That's when joy grew, and that's when you began to see transformation.
Yeah.
There was in your story, you talked a day that you was filled with God's Holy Spirit, and that being a real special moment. Tell us about that, Javier.
Well, I was working also in a nightclub in the West End, and I got him a job with me. So we was driving one night going past St. Paul's, and we were talking about St. Paul on his road to Damascus and his transformation. Yeah. And the Holy Spirit came upon him. I said to him as we was driving, I said, do you think God would do that? By this time, I really wanted to know about God.
Yeah,
so I look back now that there was a desire in me to know more and more about God. So that was a driving force within me. It's almost like there was this driving. I want to know about God. I want to know about God. So he was talking to me about, he said, yeah, of course. I said, really? He said, yeah. So we parked up in Covent Garden. I had a little private parking space. It weren't mine. I used to use it. But we parked up there and we prayed.
Yeah.
And as we prayed, I felt like an electrical current went through me.
Yeah.
And it came up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe a minute, I don't know. But I was also cooperating. I don't know how to explain it, but I knew that I had to cooperate.
Yeah.
I was just aware. And when I stopped, I got out of the car and I looked over the top. He got out and I said, that was amazing. He said, it's great. And I felt inside I'd been completely washed clean.
Wow.
Of all the stuff. It's almost like I'd had an internal shower.
Yeah, yeah.
And I felt things that were hanging over me, the guilt and all the shame and all the things had been just gone from me. It's almost like saying it pushed everything out of me.
Yeah.
And I just felt this lightness and this desire to scream from the top of the mountains, Jesus was alive.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I
fantastic.
thought I'd had a psychotic episode. Honestly, but for 3 days, I could not stop speaking about Jesus.
Wow.
He was alive.
Yeah.
And I went back to the gym and I was telling all these guys, and like, you're going to hell. Jesus. And that's when I met Ian, because Ian wasn't a Christian, and then he put his head down and realised that I was telling the truth, because God was obviously working on Ian.
Yeah, sure.
And so I was telling people about it, and my brother said, "Stop it, you're scaring people. You're scaring people." I said, "Ange, you're going to go to hell. You know, you've got to accept Jesus. It's real. It's all real." And that's when my family were really concerned.
Wow.
Because they thought, he's gone mad.
Yeah.
I'd gone mad.
No, it was real. It was, you'd found hope, you'd found joy. And God had filled you with the Holy Spirit, which was an amazing experience. So what happened from there? Did you stay at the gym, or what were sort of the next steps after that?
Well, one of the things that also convinced me is that, I met was going to be my wife, Tracy, and I was sitting in a bar in Tenerife. Long story how I got there, but anyway, I was sitting in a bar in Tenerife. In walked these two girls. One of them was really, really stunning. And I thought, of course, I didn't think anything. I just looked at her and thought she's nice. And voice said to me, "There is your wife."
Wow. Okay.
Very clear.
Yeah.
Because you're talking to me.
Yeah.
I went, "What?" Like that. I'll try to chat her up. She won't. 3 days later, she was being showed up by some old Spaniard
Right.
at a discotheque. And I thought, this is my chance. And she only spoke to me to get away from me. But God has a way of sorting things out.
Absolutely, yeah. And here you are now.
You've done well, and I've done well.
Absolutely. So, Javier, just to draw it to a conclusion, tell us a little bit, because tell us a little bit about what you're doing now, and the passion you have to help young men who are struggling with addiction. Just tell us just briefly a little bit about Teen Challenge.
Yes, I was committed to our church. I've been involved for about 35 years, something like in our church, which was in Ilford. We now have members of the church here.
Yeah.
So it was really Pastor Steve and Julia who were our pastors. And it was Steve who got the call for Teen Challenge to come to East London.
Yeah.
And I was a volunteer worker, and then Steve was on the national board of Teen Challenge. And he gave me a call one day. I thought I was going to Spain to be a missionary with my wife and the 2 kids at the time. That weren't going to happen. Giving out tracts on the beach. That was ideal ministry.
That would be good. That would be good. Yeah.
But cut a long story short, I ended up going to Whitechapel on the streets on a Monday morning, pouring down with rain, working in squats with prostitutes and gang members and drug dealers. But I loved it.
Yeah.
And God used Steve to bring it here. Wow. The ministry began to grow. Yeah. And then God provided a building, and I just started going out, reaching into drug dens and working with people on the streets. And we just started getting people, praying for them so they find Jesus and they can be transformed. So, that's...
Which is absolutely amazing. Let's give, One of the great things is that a couple of us together with Stephen are coming to Norwich on Wednesday to speak to some of the guys. Tell us a little bit about what goes on at the centre in Norwich.
Well, we were given the building up in Ilford, and we were there, and then we purchased the building with the support of the church. And with the churches, we came to you as well. You saw it, in the past. And a few years ago, we were praying because it's getting rough where we are, and just asking God to provide another solution so we can try and sell the building and move out. Yeah. God miraculously provided this boutique place. Yeah, probably worth 4 or 5 million. Wow! And they gave us the building. Yeah. And so it's got, we moved up there, it's brilliant. So we take the guys out, instead of coming to East London now, they go up to Norwich. Yeah. And so we've increased, it's 28 beds. Yeah. And we take guys from 18 to 60. Wow. And we take the worst that you can imagine. So we take guys that are on the streets, who are injecting heroin, crack cocaine, whatever, gang members, whatever. It doesn't matter. Prison, we take them in, and we come in, and the purpose is for them to have that revelation of Jesus Christ. And we've seen miraculous transformations where people come to Christ, and that veil is removed. That they suddenly, what they couldn't see, they can see, and they're transformed. And that's what keeps us going. It's a difficult work because there's an evil involved with it. Right? It's a dark, dark world. There's a lot of chaos and a lot of madness and a lot of violence in that world. And when people come out of it, the devil tries to show them back.
Yeah.
but we see the power of God at work, and we're very humbled by how God works. And, we've got now guys that are now, they're successful entrepreneurs. You've got guys who started major national charities, guys who are pastors.
Yeah.
The last two coordinators are pastors now.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
They keep going on. So we're blessed by that. So that's a great thing to see God at work, and I'm privileged to be a part of that. And Steve's the chairman of our board, and so we're privileged to see the miraculous transformation of God, and that's what excites me. When you got guys coming in who have been in prison for 20 odd years, who've been heroin addicts for 25 years, and they come in, they haven't got much of a faith, and suddenly they hear about Jesus and they bow the knee, and suddenly something happens. And where they say the week before, I can't see this, I don't understand this. And next week say, I've got so much peace.
Wow.
I've got so much
amazing.
peace. Wow, it all makes sense now.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Only God can do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Only God can do.
Javier, thank you so much for sharing. Let's give a round of applause to Javier. Thank you so much for sharing.